Hi everyone, welcome back to Plant Happens. It's been a long time since my last video, and I know that's basically every video, so maybe I shouldn't get into it too much, but I just wanted to say summer has been busier than I anticipated because both of my kids, we decided not to put them in summer camp this summer, so they're home all day and I have been taking care of my kids, and I also have like part-time job, so it's been quite difficult to find time to film video. Another thing I wanted to mention is I plan to film this video, and I asked my husband's sister to see if like my girls can go to her place for a sleepover this weekend, and she was very nice. She graciously she's hosting them at her house this weekend, so I plan to film like two videos this weekend, but I feel like I might only be able to get through one because somehow my entire face is having some kind of reaction. I'm not sure if it's allergic or it's reacting to some kind of skincare, but it's very bumpy and itchy, especially around my mouth. I hope it doesn't show too much on camera because I mean there's lights and there's some smoothing happening with the camera, so hopefully it's not too obvious. But when I talk, it's kind of uncomfortable, especially around my mouth. It's very crusty and bumpy and itchy. So I don't know if I can get through two videos, but and I also I might have to like take breaks in between. So if you see me maybe seems a little uncomfortable, I just want to let you know that's why, and I hope you don't mind. Today, as you can see in the title, I'm finally filming my biggest plants. When I was selecting these plants, I was actually having a little bit of difficulties. I think as far as monsteras and philodendron goes, I think it's pretty simple. Biggest leaf, tallest plants, and bushes plants, I guess. But when it came to anthuriums or hoyas or other type of plants, it was a bit more difficult because not all anthuriums will grow big leaves, but smaller leaf plant might be more mature. You know, one thing with anthurium is when it's producing the flower inflows regularly, then it's more mature. But those plants may even have smaller leaves than some like bigger leaf anthurium. So I did my best to pick biggest leaf or also like more mature plant when it comes to anthuriums. And for hoyas, I only picked one hoya for this video because as you know, I chop my hoyas pretty often, so I don't actually have very big specimen of hoyas except for this one. Like I wouldn't even call that very big, but it's probably the biggest, and also it has pretty big leaves, so I thought that would be a good choice. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy this video because when I did the poll on Instagram, a lot of people did want to see my biggest plants. Okay, so without further ado, I think we will get right in. I will start with smaller plants, so like hoyas, and I have one pothos to show you, and those are definitely smaller of the bunch, so I will start with those ones. Okay, so I zoomed down a little bit for to show the plants. So first one I have here is Manjula pothos, Pothos manjula, Epiprenum, I think is Orium. I'll put both like, you know, known, what is it called, known as, or and Latin name at the bottom as usual. I'm sorry, like I mentioned, around my mouth is very itchy, so you might see me touching my face, that's why. So this is my Manjula pothos, and I kind of made it my point to grow this bigger. I gave it a moss pole. It's very algae ridden, kind of gross, so I'll just turn it around. And I think on my very first video I showed this pothos, and I think it looked about the same. And the reason is every time it grows bigger, I get overwhelmed and I just chop it back because it's growing in a shelf that's about this high. So any taller, it will grow into the shelf. And I know I could give it bigger pole, like extend the pole and maybe make it grow even taller, but I don't even know where would be a good place to put it because it's growing bigger. So this doesn't look very big, but I can show you some leaves that I cut recently. I'm trying to root, but this is what the mother plant is looking like, and I think it's already quite big. There's a spot here, like every time you cut a plant, I do see some, it drops some leaves, and some leaves yellows because I guess it gets shocked. And I actually quite like this kind of leaf, right? And I really like these leaves with a little bit more green. But once it gets really close to light, it does produce these like very, very white leaves. And then I will show you those bigger leaves that I was talking about earlier, and they're very white. So here is the cuttings that I made. It actually doesn't look that big on camera, but maybe I'll pull out some so I can show you if I can manage to. Okay, so this is one of the top cutting, and as you can see, these leaves are really big, bigger than, like almost as big as my hand or bigger. And this was top cutting, so it's still showing quite creamy. It will turn more white as it mature, but you do see how big these leaves are, right? And I think I have even bigger leaves. So the other two cuttings, so these other two cuttings, I think they're even bigger leaf, and I can get closer and show you. This one is newer leaf, so it's quite creamy color, and they are also very big. But as you can see, as they get more mature, it turns more white. And you see how big this leaf is, like in comparison to my face. It's maybe at least half of size of my face, and I have huge face. So on camera, I think it's really hard to show, but like these are really big leaves. And I'm hoping these will root well, because last time I cut, they didn't root. I think because it was kind of like this, very, very white, and maybe it was lacking nutrition, but I do see some roots are being activated here, so that's really good, good sign. I think Mandula pothos is probably my favorite pothos. It's really easy to take care and it's really pretty. But when I grow it in as a hanging basket, I don't like how the small leaves look. I really love the big leaves, how they look. And there was a time people were looking for like this kind of really white variegation with some like green around it, calling it Harlequin pothos. I still don't know if that is real thing, because as you can see, there's a lot of variety. Like this leaf, oh my god, this leaf still have some splashing, but it's very, what I'm trying to say, it's not splashing like marbly, but like this one is so stark white. But like I shown in the mother plant, the bottom leaves are definitely more marbly. So I think it's growing condition. But if anybody know, like if there's specific classification for Harlequin, please like leave a comment so I can educate myself. But in my experience, regular Mandula seem to be able to grow into looking like Harlequin pothos. Okay, so that's my first plant, Mandula pothos. Starting slow, it's not that big. Okay, so the next up is my Hoya obovata. Hoya obovata is one of my favorite because of the leaf shape. I think I showed this in my Hoya tour. I mean, I definitely did. And it's grown even bigger so far. I haven't cut this Hoya in the last at least a year because I really wanted to grow bigger. I feel like everybody should have one of this. And these leaves are so round, so puddly, and I would say it's one of the easier going Hoya as well. The variegated one is not as easy going in my experience. Variegated ones tend to grow misshapen leaves much more, even though I do have some like misshapen leaves on this plant as well, but usually it's because it's growing into other leaf. But the variegated one just grow out and then be like all scrunched up. But I just really love these round leaves. And I know my friend Charmaine has a really huge one, so my goal is growing mine into something that's as big as what she has. This is not a rare Hoya by no means, but once it's like bigger size, I feel like I get attached to it and I feel sad cutting it, especially when it's like putting out new growth. And especially something substantial like this. If it's like small leaf Hoya, I feel better cutting them because they grow more leaves very quickly. But like bigger leaf Hoya like this, each leaf I feel like it uses so much so much energy, so I feel bad cutting it. So yeah, that's my Hoya obovata. I can never say it properly. Obovata. Get one if you find one. Like I remember in last few years, sometimes you will see a really big basket in garden center. If you ever find one, I definitely recommend getting one. Okay, so next I'm gonna move into anthuriums. I have two anthuriums to show. As I mentioned, it was a bit difficult to choose, so I chose one with biggest leaves, and I chose one that is basically longest leaf that I have. And the first one I'm gonna show you is Anthurium wendlingeri. And I'm very proud of this. I know this is not like the biggest specimen you can find. I know Alice has really big one, but I really struggled with growing this one because it started out with like leaves this size, and it stayed like that for really long time, at least 2 years. It just slowly sized up, and earlier this year, or maybe like end of last year, it just suddenly sized up, and it put out these longer leaves, and I was so happy. When the lingerais are really special because their inflows are like a corkscrew. I'm gonna insert their inflow photo here, and I really wanna get one of those inflow one day. And also the texture of this is very matte, not like palette that's kind of velvety. This is very matte, and there are some different variations of wendlingeri as far as I know, but I'm not sure what type mine is because I imported it from Singapore, and it's hard for me to tell like what type this is. But like this one was really long, but unfortunately it grew into like other leaves, so it got damaged. But this one's not too bad. It's a little bit just warped, but it's still very long. And this was my first real wendlingeri leaf, so I was super happy. And I chopped these 3 leaf off from the top because it was getting super heavy, and even the stem was becoming like spirally. Maybe I can find a photo to show you. That's my spiral stem. So I was like, no, I have to cut this. So I cut it and I put it in here, and it's been doing really well, as you can see. Very rooted, and it's putting out a new leaf, so it's doing pretty good. So this might be kind of underwhelming, but these are my longest leaf anthurium, and I don't think I've shown this on my channel ever, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to show my wendlingeri because I am really fond of this anthurium. The next anthurium I have here is no ID actually. This is Indo papilionarinum. How do you even say it's puppy? I know when I say it slow I can say it, but when I try to say it fast, I just can't say it. So I'll just call it Papi, and it's from Indonesia. I know it was actually, I don't know what it was imported as. I got it from my friend. She was trying to get rid of some plants because she had too many to take care and she was gonna throw it out. And I said, well, it's kind of cute, I'll take it. And the biggest leaf at the time, I think, was this one. It was quite small, but it sized up really quickly. This one, and then it was like this one. And I thought it had potential. It's kind of cute. It's not as dark as typical paps are, and it's not as velvety. It's more, I don't know how to describe this, but it has sheen. It has almost blue sheen to it. So some people may call this like blue, what's that called? Blue pap? I'm really not sure, but it's some kind of pap hybrid. And then it put out this really nice big leaf, pristine, and then it started flowering. So I will say this plant is now mature, and it is very pretty, right? And this is the current newest leaf that's putting out. When the new leaf comes in, it's a little bit bronzy. Maybe it's hard to see on camera. It's so wobbly, this plant, because it's only hanging on with this really flimsy stick. But yeah, this is the new leaf that is not completely hardened yet. It has a little bit of bronzy sheen when it's new, and then it hardens off to like this color. Oh, when it's back here, it looks much darker. I mean, it is a nice anthurium. I do love it, otherwise I wouldn't keep it. It's growing so much better than my Indo-Pup, so, and it's putting out flower too. I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, that's an inflow. That's probably its third one. I don't know if I want to cross anything with this, because I don't know what I will call it, but maybe I would. What do you think? Should I make a hybrid with this one? Okay, so that's my Indo-Pup. Okay, so now we are moving into philodendron, and I thought last two genus are philodendron and monstera, and these are pretty like clear cut. I think it's just biggest leaf and much more mature, most mature specimens, because I think like most of them just grow more mature and bigger. Not a lot of philodendron I can think of that just the mature plant is small leaf. So anyways, that's too much talking again. And so this one actually is probably my most favorite philodendron in my care. When I first saw this on Instagram, I was like, what is that? I have to have it. And at the time, it was insanely expensive. I looked for a cheaper one everywhere. I couldn't find it. And the first one I bought was probably about this long. Maybe half of this, maybe a little bit longer than this. And that was like the biggest specimen anybody has ever seen at the time in Vancouver. And I think I paid like $800 for it. It was so much money, but you know, this plant I actually think grows quite easy. I feel like in the beginning it had people thought it was hard to grow, but I find it quite easy, and the way the price dropped, I assume it was easy for a lot of people as well. And this was probably actually my third specimen I got. The previous ones, I chopped them, I sold them, and some of them died. But this one I imported as really big plant. I think the leaf it had was about this size. But because it was big plant, when I brought it in and tried to acclimate it, it kind of dropped a lot of leaf, and it only had one leaf left basically. It was very sad looking. And you can see the stem is still here. I don't know if you are able. So I chopped it, and then you have one leaf, and then you put out a new growth. That's what this is. I don't know if you can even see. This is like blind, but anyways, this whole plant was grown from a new growth from the stem cutting I had. And looks like the first leaf it grew was this, and it quickly sized up like this, and like this one. It's so hard to show because it's like what, how do you call this? It's like a curtain, like hello, right? And but it sized up pretty quickly, and I think having a moss pole really helps with this one because this one grows up a tree trunk in nature. I will show you like the really beautiful specimen that you can find on Instagram, and I think it's probably impossible to grow mine to this size in my condition because I don't give it a lot of humidity and I don't give it that much sun. But I do think these grow under trees, so maybe it doesn't need as much sun. So maybe that's why I was able to grow it to this amount, I mean, this size. But when I look at these, I just feel like it's probably have to be growing on a tree to be able to achieve this kind of look. But I am still very, very happy with this. I mean, who doesn't like this? Like, it's kind of like ruched look, right? Ruched or ruffly look. I don't know how else to explain. It has a new leaf coming in. When the new leaf is unfurling, it usually look a little smaller than previous leaf, but it just grows in size as it hardens off. Like this is the second last leaf, and then compared to the newest leaf, it's like at least 3 inches longer. But when this one first came out, it was also like short looking. So I'm sure this new leaf will be quite a bit bigger than this newest leaf as well. But yeah, it's just the best. I know a lot of people have this plant now, but I'm very proud of mine. And somehow this is growing really well in moss. So I know a couple more people growing Patriciae. Did I say this is Patriciae? I don't even think I mentioned this is a Philodendron Patriciae. But anyways, I know a couple more people growing this in moss. I'm growing this in like moss with a little bit of perlite mixed in, and the moss pole is the same substrate, and it's doing so well. So it's just one plant I don't even want to take out of moss. Like originally it started because I was too lazy, it was too rooted, I don't want to remove the moss, but it's just seemed to be doing super well in moss. So this is my pride and joy Philodendron Patriciae. Okay, so the second philodendron I have is Philodendron mayoi. I'm not sure how to show this properly. This is the best I can do, and as you can see, it's quite large. I really love this type of leaf. I know that this is not, I guess it's not that similar to Florida's, but you know what I mean by like it has the ears and then it has these side pieces and then it has the middle piece. I don't know. And like the polys are like that too, right? That kind of shape I really love, and this is the one that's been growing the best for me. And as you can see, it's super tall, and I just cut the top because it grew above the moss pole and it was getting kind of wild. So I was hoping I can tame this, but I don't know how else to show this. It started out with a very small leaf, like this size, and then it was just sizing up really quickly. And I cut the bottom, I put it in here, and it's in like a quite heavy. It's completely pond in here, so it's quite heavy, and it's really hard to hold it. But I don't know what else to say other than this is huge, and I love this plant, but at the same time, because it's so large, I don't know what to do. Like I kind of wish it stayed this size and then like a little bit more compact, but I really love these big leaves as well. Because it's so big, it grows into light all the time, and that's how like these burns happen. And the very top leaf on this right now is this one. It's just really pretty. And like I mentioned, I cut the top. So I actually gave the very top 2 leaves to a friend. And I have 2 other leaves that I can more easily show than this huge thing. So I'm just gonna put this down. And this is one of the leaves that I cut. And you can see how big the leaf is. It's like way, way, way bigger than my face. And it's gonna drip, so I kind of don't wanna bring it out, but it's just rooting in water, and then I will put it in some kind of substrate and probably sell it once the node gets active. But this is definitely the biggest. It's not even biggest philodendron, it's just one of the biggest plant I have in general, and I'm very proud I was able to grow it this big. Philodendron mayoi. I do think it grows really well in pond, and I think it does really, really well with moss ball. So if you are having tough time sizing this up, definitely give that a try. Okay, so last but not least is my Monstera albo. I feel like when you think about plant hobby, this is the quintessential plant hobby plant, I think. In 2019 and 2020, everybody and their grandmas wanted albo Monstera. And there's a lot of, not controversy, but like people talking about what's a large form, what's a Thai, what's a albo, what's a Bosgiana. But as far as I know, okay, I was talking to my friend about how I'm really out of loop with houseplant hobby at the moment. I think I kind of disconnected myself from like a lot of the chatter. I don't know how to explain, but you know, people discuss a lot about plants in the groups and on Instagram, but I don't actively seek out those discussion anymore. In early stage of my hobby, I wanted to know everything. I just wanted to know everything, and when people ask, I wanted to have the answer. But now I think it just got out of hand. I just want to disconnect myself and just enjoy the plants I have. And if I find a plant I like, I would want that, but I'm not like seeking out, oh, this is the new plant, that is the new most popular plant. So I don't do that anymore. So my information might be slightly outdated, but the one I have here, I think is Monstera Borsigiana albo variegated. So Monstera Borsigiana is supposed to be smaller form of Monstera. And the difference between small form and the large form of Monstera, you can tell by the internode space. So as you can see with this plant, the internode is quite big. This is one leaf here. I don't know if you can see. And then second leaf here. So from here to here, there's quite a bit of space. But the large form, the nodes are very, very close to each other, and they are like stuck against each other, and then it makes it very, very difficult to cut. And a small form usually is much easier to make cutting. And another way to tell, as the name suggests, Borsigiana is considered a small form Monstera deliciosa because the leaves are smaller. They don't mature as fast as the large form. Thai constellation generally are all large form. So you can see the internodes are very narrow, very, very small, and they will put out bigger leaf much quicker. So you can see that at the bottom, this is actually the leaf I got it with, this one. So this has several splits, I think 3 splits, and this was on the stem, and the new growth it put out, first leaf was like this. And that's pretty common for Monstera to put out a leaf like this. But the second leaf after that was this, and then this. And as you can see, it's not getting split that quickly. With large form, that's not going to happen. It's going to start to have the splits also known as pinnation, I think, much quicker. And so even with this size, there's no pinnation, no fenestration. What I mean is like there's no splits at all. And then finally, this one had 1 split, and then this one had 3 splits, so on and so on. Like, so it just matures much slower. And at the top, I have these leaves at the moment. And you can see that it still is not that big monstera look that a lot of people are used to seeing. So I'm gonna put this down. Anyways, so this is, I have several monstera albos, and this is my bigger specimen. And even then you can see the top leaf is not like that typical monstera look that you're used to with big leaf with fenestration, like the holes in the middle. And I actually recently cut the top of this that I sold, and I can put the photo here to show you that even those were bigger leaves than this, and it still had no holes. I've seen some friends that grew it like much bigger and have some fenestrations, but even then it's just like 1 or 2. And I'm finding myself to like not able to do that. As you can see, I feel like I said as you can see so many times, but you see this plant is so tall now, and it's very, very rooted, and then it's very, very healthy looking, but it's just very difficult to grow those really big leaves. And this one is the bigger one of the bunch that I have. So I was gonna show you this plant either way because it's my biggest monstera, as like it's so tall, right? But I recently have been looking for large form variegated monstera that's not Taikon. I really wanted a large form albo monstera, and I told my friend, and a couple days ago she sent me in a group chat, sent me like a marketplace listing, and she was like, I think this is large form, because we've been talking about large form and we were showing each other what large form should look like. And she sent it to me, and the seller lived like 5 minutes from my house, and the price was, I mean, some people might find that expensive, but for me, for a large form, I thought it was really good price. And then the seller also said she broke the top cataphyll of the plant, so she gave me further discounts. So I was like, okay, I have to get this. And now this is the largest monstera I have, so I really wanted to show you. Can you see in my face how excited I am? Can you see how much bigger it is compared to my plant? I don't know if you can even, I don't know how I don't know what I'm doing. I'm hoping you can. Oh my god. How do I even show this? This is a smaller leaf on this plant, and look how much bigger that is compared to my plant, and look how many holes there are. Okay, I'm gonna get out of the way so maybe I can show the leaf. Do you see? So that's what you think of when you think of monstera leaf, right? So those holes in the middle. This is just really hard to show because how big it is, but look at the difference. At least 5 times the size of the leaves on mine. So now I'm gonna move the small form away so I can maybe show the large one properly. So when I picked it up, I talked to the seller, and she said she doesn't know if it's large form or not. She says she grows a really large specimen of this in hydroponic in her house, and she cuts it whenever it gets out of hand, and she sells it on marketplace. And she's seen people who bought her cutting then went on and sell it as large form monstera. So she was like, oh, well, I didn't say that, so she's not super sure. And I also told her, like, I showed her my monstera and said, like, I do think this is a large form, but we don't know. Like, the internodes are definitely smaller, but I think it's not as stacked as Taikon if you really want to compare. I'm gonna take the outer pot out so it's easier to handle. Hopefully you can see, but this is what the internal looks like. I think it's a lot smaller than my small form. So I think this could be, I'm like around 90% sure this is a large form Monstera, but there's always chance that this is just really, really, really mature form of small Monstera. But when you look at this leaf, I mean, it's gotta be large form, right? And how beautiful is this leaf? I don't even know what to say about this. It's just, I was so excited when I saw it in person because, you know, on the photo, it's always hard to tell the actual size. You can have like, I don't know, pop can beside to show like the size, but when you see in person is when you really can tell the size. I'm usually told that my photos look, plants in my photo look smaller than what I actually is, and that was the case with this one. When I saw it in person, it was so much bigger than what I anticipated, and I was so happy. So now that I have this, I probably will get rid of some of my smaller form alvo because I need space, first of all, and I don't need so many. I think this is my favorite leaf. What do you think? I'm just lost. I'm lost with words with this one. I never dreamt that I could own a size like this because I know the green monsteras technically is easy to size up as well, but I can't even do that. So I hope this will continue to put out large leaf in my care, but I guess there's always chance that it will revert a little bit in size. And now I've been talking behind this plant for the entire time, so I'll just put it here. What's a good way to display this beauty? Yeah, so I don't know if I should give this a pole because the seller says she doesn't have any pole for it. It's, like I said, it's growing in a hydroponic setting, and I know that large form Monstera doesn't necessarily need a pole to size up, but if I wanted to grow neatly, like up, then it should definitely have a pole, right? Let me know what you think I should do. This is in soil too. I'm really afraid to move it, so I think I will keep it in soil, and I think it will drink too much water anyways, so it should probably stay in soil. But yeah, so this is like leaf size wise, this is the biggest leaves I have in my care, and I can't take credit for it because I obviously just purchased it, but I'm just happy that this is even in my house. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 biggest plants in my collection, and I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the more mature plants because, you know, a lot of times it's easier to show smaller plants, and I have shown like new plants. Typically those will be smaller as well, so it's a lot more work to bring out these plants, let's be real. So, you know, I really wanted to take time and bring these out and showcase, you know, some of my pride and joy and some of my new favorite. And I hope this is a good not encouragement, maybe like an inspiration for you to grow them big. I honestly, there are not too many plants in my care that are large size, and it really needs to be something special that I really love for me to keep it and let it grow bigger. So I think this was a good opportunity for me to really appreciate these plants as well. Anyways, and thank you for your patience always waiting I mean, obviously you're not actively like sitting in front of your computer waiting for me to upload, but I'm very appreciative that every time I upload, I get comments with people excited to watch my video, and it really warms my heart. Yeah, so I hope in September when kids go back to school, maybe I can go back to uploading a little bit more, like at least 1 or 2 video every month or so. And please leave comments with like what other plans or what other kind of videos you want to see, and I will jot them down for future reference. Okay, so anyways, before I talk for another 30 minutes, thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. And also, if you like to see more videos in the future, please consider subscribing. And if you like to get notified when I upload new video, hit that bell button that everybody talks about. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye now.